Welcome back here again at allpointstv.com, and we're glad to see you out there. And this is a very glorious and happy occasion. We come to the studio today. We normally come on, we normally tape on Mondays, and because of some prior obligations, we weren't able to do the show on Monday. We're doing it now on Wednesday. But it worked out very well because it comes the day after the unbelievable result we had yesterday. And I wore my shirt today because this shirt says, this is the shirt that has the words and the iconic words in it from our national anthem, "Land of the Free and Home of the Brave." And I think that Francis Scott Key would be very happy to have seen the results last night, because I think we have to all agree, whether you voted for Donald Trump or not, you have to agree we are a freer people today than we were this time yesterday. This country did a tremendous job, not necessarily grounded in the understanding that of the Constitution and all of that, but just because the fact is that they made the right decision, and they cut some things off that were headed toward the past, and they cut it off before it got there. And as a result of the decision that they made, and they made this decision in terms of finally understanding why they were losing, you cannot defeat those that are intending to have voting go on ad infinitum, and you trying to counteract that in a single day. It's not a definitive and constructive strategy. You've got to understand what the game is, and then if they're using that in order to assume the reign of power, the reigns of power in the country, you got to understand what they're using and use that also. You can't have them voting 2 months and then you reduce your vote to the traditional voting day, and you vote one day out of the time period, and then you intend to defeat those who've been voting all the way up to the time that you're voting. And then don't forget, you're leaving it up to them to do some other things to circumvent your vote, because some machines can break down, your lines can be too long, and people are impatient. Things come up, they have to cancel certain things at the last minute. Just little things can happen, and in a 1 day period of time, you never have enough time to correct it. So I'm glad, America. I'm very proud of you. I was really worried about whether or not you're going to be able to pull this off. I knew that the support was out there for Donald Trump. I just didn't know if the strategy was in place to bring that about. I knew what the sentiment was in the country, and I saw it. And I'll tell you this: I saw it. I went out to Las Vegas. I went to Nevada. I didn't believe what I was reading about the support Donald Trump had among the Hispanic population. I could not believe that those persons that came here the right way would be, in fact, you go through the legal channels to arrive on these shores, and you in fact, come here by invitation, and you submit your application so that the country that you're trying to get into, and that'd be the United States in this case, if you come here, you have to get the approval of the country, of the receiving country. You don't just break into the country and come here. And I knew there's no way in the world, if I were applying to go into a country and I had done it the right way, and then other persons are cutting in line. I've waited in line for whatever number of years it takes in order to get the classification that allows for citizenship. I would be very upset if someone cut in front of me or even cut behind me and then dismiss the procedures that I, in fact, waited on and patiently went through. And they come behind that and cut me off at the knees and get a pass in front of me and then go through the same procedure I went through. I would be I think I'd be kind of mad about that. And I couldn't believe that they were telling me that the person that was calling the country to respond to its creed, its laws, its immigration decrees, that the people that have followed those decrees would in fact be upset about other persons not being allowed to violate those laws. They came here, the right way, as they say, the right way, and then person just coming across the national boundary lines, and they are actually breaking into the country. So I couldn't believe that that was true. I went out. I wanted to go and I used my timeshare. I have a timeshare in Las Vegas, and I don't use it every year, and I lose my time because I don't. If you don't lose it every year, after a certain amount of time, you actually lose the time, and you can only bank it through another procedure they have, and I don't always want to go through all those laps to do that. But I wanted to take the time this year. I wanted to go out there for myself to see what was the sentiment like in Las Vegas, because I keep saying that when they say wait in Mexico, I think you wait in Mexico in parts of the United States. The southwest part of the United States is Mexico, and some other countries too, because the Hispanic population is not just Mexico and some of the other. It's that whole South American, Central American, um, that whole region, and Mexico, because Mexico is neither part of that. We say Mexico, and then we say South America and Central America. And so I wanted to go and see for myself what was the sentiment out there in Las Vegas. What did people out there think about people coming across the lines, not going through the procedure, and just breaking into the country and violating the laws? What did they think about the enforcement of those laws that they follow? And I went to and it just so happened while I was there, I went there on the 18th of last month. I was there from the 18th to the 25th, Friday to Friday, and that Thursday before I was supposed to leave, Donald Trump did one of his rallies. All of Donald Trump's rallies, you don't have to bring Beyonce and Bruce Springsteen to bring a crowd. And you don't have bragging rights when you use somebody else as a drawing card, and then you start talking about the size of somebody else's crowd. They brought their crowd in there because they want to hear what you have to say. And then you bring some of these celebrities in there because they think they're going to perform. You're going to get a concert. And you talk about, as Harris did, when this person said, talked about Jesus is Lord and things like that. And she told me it's in the wrong place. That's the smaller event, smaller rally down the street, talking about Donald Trump's rallies. Donald Trump doesn't have small rallies. I've been to too many of them to know that, because I've seen that I've had to walk. I don't like walking, but I had to walk blocks and blocks and blocks, and I don't have a good sense of direction when I walk and from a field and go to a certain area. When I try to get back, I got to try to find my car. And so I was determined. I'm gonna go out there and find out for myself. I don't need these screeners. I don't need these filters telling me what people are thinking. I want to go and ask them one-on-one, mano, what do they think about the immigration laws that are being enforced. And it was just amazing, because not that I was surprised by it, I kind of expected it. You don't want to follow the procedure and have the person violating the procedure that you follow. You follow the law. You did it the right way, and you're going to therefore abstain from objecting to those that do it the wrong way, and you did it the opposite of that. I don't think that flies in the same sentence. I just knew that could not be the case, but I didn't have any concrete evidence. I never asked anybody out there if that were true. So I went out there. I'd use my timeshare this year to go out there, and it just so happened, I didn't plan it this way, but it just so happened the same time I was out there, Donald Trump planned a meeting in Las Vegas. And so I was going to be there from Friday the 18th to Friday the 25th. And that Thursday, the 24th, there was a last minute scheduling of a rally by Donald Trump. Now, I got to tell you something. Those persons that were saying that rally at Madison Square Garden to cover up what a triumphant moment it was to be able to pull that Madison Square Garden holds 19,500. And if you have, if you want, if people stand in the back of the corridor, you could probably get 20,000 in there very easily because it's not just our more famous arena. It's one of the large centers that we have in the United States. But I was in one that was larger than that because the one in Las Vegas, that one I was told, and I know Donald Trump mentioned it when he was there. He said that that arena they filled up that night. I was there on the 24th. That arena holds. They said that arena holds 29,000, and that place was packed. I was one of the few non-Hispanics that was in that arena, and in fact, when I got there, because I didn't want to wait like I did when Donald Trump came here. The arena here holds about 8,000 something. The IMA here in the city of Flint. I didn't want to wait. I waited last time we went. He was going to be there. The event was supposed to start, I think, at 8:00. And I knew 8,000 was not going to be a big enough arena for us to get in. If we go down there at 8:00, you're going to be outside. And I didn't want to do what happened to me in Battle Creek. I went to Battle Creek, 3-hour drive away, and I went there with the idea that if I can't get in, at least they have someone on the outside where they have a feed up there where they're showing the event to those of us that couldn't get in. And I don't have to always get in. I just want to see what was being said and hear the speeches. But they were not prepared for the overflow. They I don't think it was because they didn't expect an overflow. They just didn't have the technical whatever in place to be able to pull it off. So I went out there and 3-hour drive and 3-hour back. I didn't get a chance to hear anything. I did talk to a lot of people while I was there. But I was not going to wait 3 hours in Las Vegas. And so I just decided, okay, he's going to be there at 10:00. This is going to be at the University of Las Vegas. I know they're going to have enough technical support to put a screen somewhere and have a showing outside of the arena. So I thought I would just go there close to the time period in which Donald Trump was scheduled to be there, because he does more than one event. And sometimes doing 3 and 4 events. This man has tremendous energy, and you're not going to outwork Donald Trump. That day that Kamala Harris took off, this man didn't take off any days for 52 straight days, and was doing 2 and 3 events on some days. And they're talking about the man is exhausted. Exhausted where? So I got there about 9:30, somewhere around there. And when I walked from this they got 2 fields. I didn't understand this, and my direction's bad already, but I didn't know they had 2 fields that really are landscaped the same way. One that I thought I was in, thought I was going to the same one that I'd entered from, but I didn't know there was another one right on the other side. And so since it looks like you are looking at the building looks the same from different vantage points. So I went to when I came out, that the one I ended up in had the word Wichita. And I didn't remember the word Wichita when I went in there, so I couldn't figure out. I knew what the row was, row 5, and I couldn't understand where the Wichita came from. That was the other parking lot. And I'm over there searching for my car, trying to find where the car was parked. I'm waiting for some of the cars pull out so I can begin to eliminate some of the possibilities. And I'm walking all over the place. And this one guy, it's one thing I always say about these Trump folks. These folks these are some very civilized. You talk about some civility. It's amazing that I feel like I'm this guy that said it's amazing. It's amazing what you run into in these rallies. People are so helpful and friendly. They're so glad you're there. First of all, I guess in that place, they were surprised to see me there because it was like a love fest, but it's a love fest of those who are pretty much the residents in Las Vegas. In Las Vegas, as far as I'm concerned, that's a Hispanic town. You very seldom run into you very seldom run into European Americans there.
We have a question from a viewer.
Go ahead. I like questions.
Okay, greeting, Mr. Moss, and all watching. What kind of reforms are needed that can bring your parties, our parties, closer together, and what can be done to improve our dysfunctional two-party system? It's from. Okay, thank you very much for the question there. So I just saw it pop up.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that.
But he was there for a minute, so I think we got to him. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question. I got to tell you something, and I did an interview that'll go up hopefully in a documentary that they're doing. They wanted to talk to some of the Trump supporters prior to the election. I think they're doing an interview, and they kind of suspected it might not go the way that everybody was talking about it's going to go. It's another example of them underestimating Donald Trump, and that should never go. You should never underestimate this man. They did that in 2016. That didn't go well. And you cannot underestimate this man because this man has, I can't believe it. I have to tell you, I'm older than he is. But when I was his, he's a young man compared, I'm 80. And so I think Trump is like 76, 77, somewhere around
I think it's 78 now.
78 now?
Yeah.
This man has boundless energy. You know, some people have that. You know, it's not an age thing. And it's just like, you know, memory. Memory is not really an age thing. You can do prejudice if you want to, but it's not really an age thing. It's like you have to, the mind is a muscle also. And if you're not exercising your mind, some of your synapses, you're not using them. So the body doesn't want to overwork itself because it saves energy. And if you're not using some synapses, they close those synapses down so that it's not of any use. Why should it be open? That then can go elsewhere in a network that is autonomous, meaning it works on its own. It doesn't need you to, in fact, be thinking about every little move that goes on. You don't even think about the moves that go on. You just put the food in your body and it takes care of the rest of it. So anyway, the point I'm making is that to the question of what can we do to bring the country together, in this documentary that I was a part of, I hope they'll play they were supposed to run for my part. They told me that I would be doing the interview, and it would be 30 minutes. And I know they're gonna play all. It wasn't. You play a lot of it so it can cut it down to whatever they want it to be in terms of what parts they can use. Because not all of it is of use. Because you go off in these tangents and you get religion and you can't stop talking like right now, for example. And it was just amazing it was amazing that they were doing this documentary. But I will tell you that what I said in that soon to be hopefully coming out documentary is that these politicians do not want unity. This idea, every time a politician says they want to unify the country, there's not one politician that means it. I'm gonna tell you why. But they don't mean that. They don't want this country unified. Because if you unify the country, all of us down here on what I would call the horizontal plane, all of us down here on this level here, we're kind of like even Steven. None of us are, in a hierarchical, part of the power structure where they got this power at this level, this power at another level, and power down here like it is in the federal system. You don't have the federal government, the state government, and the local, 3 different levels of power. We're all pretty much on the same plane. We need to understand that too. So we can stop fighting among ourselves because they're never going to unify us. We got to stop it. If we're going to unify, we got to bring about the unity. But we do that a lot. What I find when I go to those rallies, I find that is already in place. The American people are not unfriendly people. We are a very friendly country. Look how they're welcoming. Look how they're welcoming people to a fault. No other country would do that, and we need to understand that you can do that to a point where you're on a suicide mission by doing that. You have to understand. Look, you do it when you fly on the plane. The first thing they tell you, if you get into a problem with the air and so on and so forth, before you take care of the child, take care of your own air, because if you fall out and you can't breathe, the child's in trouble. You can't be of any help to the child, and you're falling out because you can't breathe. You take care of that first, not selfishly, but because it makes more sense to do it that way. If we're going to be unified, and everybody talks about we want to unify the country. Look here. You tell that to somebody else. This name is Moss. You don't tell me that. You want me to unify for what? These black leaders always talking about we want to unify black people. No, you don't. If you unify black people, there's no use for you. They don't want unification. They want the friction. They want the division, because then they can justify their own reason for existing in the space that they're in. If they have unity, you don't need leadership. So they're not going to unify us. Politicians are not going to unify anybody, and we need to stop relying upon them to bring about a resolution of any problem, because politicians do not resolve problems. Let's get that straight. Also, they don't resolve problems. You cannot solve problems through politics. There are no political solutions to problems unless you are in fact negotiating with another nation. You need to sit down at some point and powwow and sign some terms of agreement and do it this way and have these terms in which you both operating to both of your advantages. But inside of a country, if there's going to be unity inside the country, the people themselves are going to have to do that, and they do a very good job of it. You know why I know that's true? Because as much as they stir us up against each other, we're still not at each other's throats. But they stir us up. Now, I'm going to come back to your question, but look, dogs don't tend to really have a problem with each other. But they pick one up and then put that dog scent by rubbing his nose against the other dog, and that dog centers on that dog's nose, and see what happens. He's terrified by the proximity of that scent. That scent is on him. That's what a dog is fighting. But who started that? It was started if every time that they did that, the dogs can understand the biting goes on to that guy. He's the one who gets his knee bit off. You don't go and fight the dog. But when they want to stir the dog up, that's what they do. They keep the American people stirred up. There are not that many problems that the American people have with each other. Let's try that one on for a size. You're not gonna like this guy. What's his name? That says it's amazing. I got his book and I can't think of his name, but he has a radio podcast, pretty popular one too. And this guy is very, very brave. But he says that there's no such thing. They don't Peterson, Jesse Lee Peterson.
We have another question here.
Okay, let me get this. Okay, hold it. Can you write that one down, John? Hold it, because I got to finish this one. People are stirred up in this country by the politicians. They're not going to bring us together. You can forget that. Don't even fall for that one. They're not going to bring people together. And another thing is that they're not going to solve any problem either, because you can't solve problems through the political process. Political process is a trade-off. They say you trade this off in order to bring this result about. but the result would bring its own problems, and so there are unintended consequences of the thing you're importing to resolve this issue. But it creates some other issues also. It's the equivalent of the medicine that you take. You could take. First of all, you can't really put medicine. How do I want to say this? You really cannot make medicine from the pharmaceutical industry. Any medicine you make, the medicine's in your food, by the way, or should be, if they don't, they neutralize it. And they neutralizing everything. That's why we all getting sick, because you got seedless this, seedless there. Seedless is where the life is. Take the seeds out of the grapes, out of the watermelon. These people are crazy. You take the life out of it, and the life is the seeds. You know, if you could eat the seeds, if you could, in fact, find a way to eat the seeds, you're not just eating the seeds. You're eating the whole tree. Because look what that seed produces, and so on and so forth. So don't wait for the politicians to do anything. They're not going to do it. They're dividing us, and they have to divide us because if you're looking on the horizontal plane, and we're all on the same plane, you know, wherever you are and wherever I am, we're on the same plane. We're already on friends. We just don't know it. We're already on a friendship plane. We just got to make people stop dividing us in that horizontal plane in which we all exist. We don't exist in that level. But you saw they treated those of us on that level when you went to Martha's Vineyard. You see what happened over there? They were fine with you, in fact, with them emoting how they should treat you where you were, down here, where we are. Not up there where they are. But when we went up there where they were, guess how long that lasted? Maybe about 30 minutes before they brought the military in there and escorted them off that island, off the coast of Massachusetts. You can't be there because that's for them. Now, they're not going to unify us. Don't wait for that. It's not going to happen. But if we're already unified, we just don't see it and don't therefore act on it. First, we don't see it and therefore claim it and therefore act upon it. We already unified. When you walk down the street, you go to the grocery store, you may not speak to the person that's coming by you in the aisle, but you don't hit him in the head, do you? And I guarantee you this, and I've seen this happen many, many times in the stores. You can't read something up there on that shelf, and somebody see you trying to get it, and they're taller than you are. You don't even have to ask them to help you. If they see you trying to get it from up there on that shelf, and they're taller than you, they're going to do it without you asking. That happens all the time. You see, we already like each other. We're already cooperating. They're the ones that are keeping the friction going. And that's why Justice Lee Peterson is saying this in his broadcast. And they're never going to give him a show on TV, but he has a very good podcast program. And he says this: there's no such thing as racism. And you know what? That's A-OK and exactly right. Because the problem is not color. You know, you can get fooled by the stuff that they're doing, because they're now saying things like this to make it look like it's a color issue. Black and brown people, as if there's a black and brown alliance between the two groups. There's no black and brown alliance between blacks and Hispanics in this country. But the idea is that whites are so imbued with color. Color for what? What does color got to do with anything? Tina Turner should have made that song. What's color got to do with it?
Okay, we got another question here.
Okay.
Same. Wampelstiltskin. He asked the first question, by the way.
I'm going too long.
Do you think that the reforms to tax code could help by allowing taxpayers to contribute to programs aligned with their core principles and withhold contributions from things that don't. Being selective on where your money is going to go. Do you think that's a possibility, or
No,
you think it'd be a good idea?
no, because no taxing agent is going to let a George Moss or the person that's calling decide for themselves what part of their income is theirs and what part of it belongs to you. In other words, when I go to work, and I give you an example in one of the stores. I cook for my dogs. I don't let these commercial companies cook for my dog. I don't think they care about my dog, and they don't care about your dog either. As a matter of fact, so I cook for my dogs, and when I do that, I told somebody at one of the stores. They asked me why was I buying all that chicken, and I buy the quarter chicken and 10-pound bag for $7.99, and that lasts me 3 days. I got 2 dogs. I got a golden retriever and a boxer, and my dogs don't even want to eat that commercial dog food. They want chicken. So I cook for my dogs every morning. Now, when I buy all that chicken, people want to ask me, as they did one time, ask me, why was I buying all the chicken? Because when it goes on sale, and they might have some that maybe a day older than the what they want to sell it at, so they put it at a discounted rate. But my dogs don't care about what date the chicken was supposed to be sold in the store. They just want to make sure the chicken is not spoiled and has the good taste to it, which it does, because I know how to fix it to the taste. So I was buying chicken. Everybody wanted to ask me. They said, "Well, because I had some chicken I was buying at one time." They said, "You didn't worry about you didn't care about the other guy, did you?" I said, "Well, I care about the other guy." This is what they asked me at the store. I said, when I go to the store and I'm shopping, I don't think about the other guy. Not that I'm dismissing the other guy, but I don't go there expecting the other guy to buy the chicken that I'm buying, because it's still there. I can't assume that if I don't buy it at that price, somebody else is going to come and do that. But I don't think about that. But if I thought that there was a poor person that could make better use of it and was going to make better use of it before that chicken that's at that reduced price spoil, I would be selfish, in fact, to do that when I can afford to pay the other price and then grab all the chicken at that price. And then the people that have lesser means than I don't have a lot of means myself, but I have some means, and I know that some have less means than I have. In fact, if I would be selfish to do that in terms of gobbling it all up, if I knew those were the circumstances. That's the way we think. We already cooperating with each other. We just don't realize how we're actualizing the cooperation. We're not fighting with each other. We're not going out of our way with the baskets to hit the other guy's basket coming down the lane on the other side. We don't push our car over there in his way to block him or her to bring about injury. We're not doing what those kids do, either get on the back of the grocery cart and start riding it like it's an automobile in the store. Me hit somebody and injure somebody. We're thinking about that. I'm saying we're cooperating already. They're the ones that's doing the violation, and we should understand the number of times we meet each other where you're already cooperating. We already are at peace. We're not at war with each other.
Okay, the commenter too.
Go ahead with the next question.
He's got another observation.
Okay.
The dog analogy reminds me of the one I heard about red ants and black ants in the same jar. They are fine until somebody shakes the jar.
Yeah, there you go. And that guy and that person that did that, I hope they had a film called Elephant Jungle. Remember that one when the ants got on those leaves and went across the water and they created a problem and too many ants, and they were creating havoc. You're supposed to every time you try to cross the river, you run the water where they would drown and wouldn't be able to get over there. But then they found a way to circumvent the navigation. the opposition to the navigation, and they were able to go in. It's a very good film about how you have to take some precautions. Well, I look, I know that we have to take care of our own needs. I'm not blinded to that. Everybody wants to do number one, first. Four, and then everybody start grabbing on, putting their hand over their head and making sure the golf ball. If you say four on the golf course, and the guys say if one of these, I don't know what kind of golfer Donald Trump is, but I know when Gerald Ford was out there and said four, everybody started ducking, including all everybody wearing those guns, because Gerald Ford was dangerous with a golf club. Most of them are, but not Trump. Trump is pretty good in golfing. And so, but look, you take care of number one. I understand that. But you know what? Everybody else, except your family now, your family is number two. But really, outside of your family and maybe your closest friends, everybody in the country is number two. That's how we are. If you go around and look at it, you'll see it. We're not really that divided in this country, to be honest. I know they keep saying we're gonna unify. Yeah, we're gonna unify the country. Okay, unify them for what? Can I answer that question? What are you gonna unify them to do? I tell you what I want to do. I want to unify the country to vote you out of office, all of you, because you've done a darn bad job. You understand that? You've done a terrible job in running this country. Anytime you have a deficit, a blooming debt, and this is what they admit to now, is more than what they admit to, because if they admit to this, it's got to be much more than that. They're willing to admit to so much of it, but what they admit to is bad enough. They admit to $36 trillion right now. Every $1 trillion is $1,000 billion, $1,000 billion. And your GNP is $5 trillion. You tell me how you pay that off. You tell me what kind of politician should be reelected running up a debt like that and putting this country behind the eight ball like they did, and putting children who are unborn, those who they allowed to be born, behind that kind of jeopardy. What politician responsible would do that? And both parties have done it. They're not going to unify us. They are the ones working they not necessarily consciously doing it. Some of them doing it consciously. Most of them are just too dumb to realize what they're doing. Because one thing about politicians, understand this: we don't have rocket scientists going into the political arena. Because up until recently, certainly at the time when the country got founded by the great founding fathers of this country, who were the first, of course, I'm talking about Ayn Rand here. Go read some Ayn Rand. Go read Ayn Rand's book, For the New Intellectuals, who said they were the framers were our first intellectuals and so far our last. Ayn Rand, who was born in 1905 and died in 1982, 77 years old when she died, she made that comment before she died. She never retracted that statement. And this is how many years from 82 to today. There's no reason to rescind her statement, even at this point, because there are no intellectuals in this country on the level of the framers, even now. And there's nobody at these universities as Harvard and all the rest of them. Harvard better get a good football team to continue to be relevant, because its scholars have been found wanting. The only reason Harvard has been so endowed as a top college is because that's where the government picks its leaders from. It's not because they have the top scholars there. I'm a top scholar, and they're better. And there's no scholar in this country, in the area that I'm in, that's on this level I'm on, and they better not say anything about that either. They're just not. They're not on this level. I'm just telling you. I listen to them. They're not on this level. That's just a fact. I'm not Harvard trained. I'm trained at Eastern, but they're trained. Whatever they're trained. Lawrence Tribe. I call their names out. Alan Dershowitz was that. They're not on this level. They don't call here and say that. No, all of us on the same plane. There are no big I's and little U's, and we do not have any animosity toward each other based on somebody's color. How stupid is that? That's what they tell us. This is about color. It's not about color. What do I care about what color you are? I only care about if you're walking off with my girlfriend.
Remember JJ? You know, JJ used to be on Good Times or whatever, and he was on a panel with Bill Maher and some other. You know, it was a Bill Maher show, and Bill Maher was there talking about police, and he said, you know, I don't mind. Cops are just going to stop you. That's what JJ Walker, said. He said they're just going to stop you and check you out, and then go on your way. And Bill Maher goes, "If you of all people, why do you say that?" He goes, "I never had issues with them." And he said that, and it was like, it was like white liberal guy trying to tell a black man how he was supposed to perceive cops because he was black, and went, okay, you're not black. You haven't gone through being black and being stopped by cops, but you're going to weigh in on this theoretically because you read about this.
John, I saw that episode you're talking about.
Wasn't that funny?
It was funny. We laugh about that when they had what's that guy's name? O'Connor, was that his name? The guy that played in All in the Family.
Carol O'Connor.
Yeah. That was to mimic back the racial climate. The American people laughed at it because they saw that as absurd. Everybody liked the woman, I think her name was Sally Struthers was a name, and then the meathead, who was supposed to be married to in that comedy. And people would watch that program religiously, and they laugh at the bigotry because they knew that wasn't them. They were not laughing at themselves and then going out there being bigots. They knew how absurd it was to be acting like that. He was a character people loved. They knew it was a situation comedy. But the character he played, though, they were laughing at it because they knew that could not be real in this country. That doesn't define the number. It's just like Ann Coulter. The number, you have more pedophiles in this country than you have racists in this country. Can we say that without anybody getting mad? And if you get mad because you don't know. You got more pedophiles in this country today than you have racists in this country. And this idea that you had a country saturated with racism, that's what they want to sell you, so as to make you feel bad, where they can begin to extract more claims upon your taxation base. All that's about is about divide and conquer kind of stuff. There's no resonance in anything real. None of you that listen to this program out here thinking about how much you dislike somebody based upon their color. How absurd would that be? And wherever I go, and I was in Las Vegas, I was trying to find out where they're going to have the rally, and I didn't know anything about. I know Las Vegas fairly well because I've been there a number of times in my timeshare, but I had to ask where they're going to have the host the rally. They told me where it's going to be, and I got my GPS out and driving around with my head cut off, and I found it and got there and was asking everybody I came in contact with, where is this, where is that? People, I wrote my window down, and I would say, excuse me, ma'am, sir. They come over to the car, and if they didn't know, they're trying to find out the answer from somebody else to help me out. And I'm a lost soul, not on Sunday, but I'm a lost soul, and they were trying to help me out and things like that. And one guy picked me up. I guess I was walking around like I was like hobbling on one leg because I don't like to walk, and I'm kind of like 80 years old on these legs I walk on. And this guy kept watching me. I'm up there trying to pick my car, where you can get the sound. I can find out where the car's located. I know it's in the wrong parking lot. I would never have found it. I'm in the wrong parking lot. Didn't even know it. But that guy somebody was watching me in the car, and I didn't know it, but I kept trying to find where's the horn of the car, and I don't hear a sound. What's going on here? And that guy came by and asked me, he was driving a Jeep, and asked me if I needed him to take me around looking for my car. He didn't know me from Adam. This is like let's see, that rally must have been over about, it was scheduled for 10. And so that must have been about maybe around 12 or so. I'm out there stumbling around the parking lot. That guy picked me up, didn't know me from Adam, and took me to the other parking lot, which is right over there. But if you face the different side of the building, it looked like you couldn't tell you're in the wrong parking lot till you realize the other parking lot has the same angle to it, to the building. And the guy first of all, try to get into a Jeep if you can't raise your leg up. You try to get in that Jeep. That Jeep is up here like this right here. The guy got out of the car and told me you have to sit down first on the seat, and then you sit down first up there, get up, horse yourself up there, and get on the seat, and then you turn around and then you're okay. I mean that thing was up there like you need a ladder to get up there. But then when I finally got in my car, and I'm now going to have to look at my GPS again because I got terrible directions. I don't have any sense of where I am, and my GPS is my lifesaver. That guy came over. Even though I was in the car at this point, I pulled over, just look at my GPS and get my bearing straight. That guy came back over to where I was sitting. I told him, I'm just using my GPS to find out where I am and I knew where I'm going back to. And once you get out of the gate, the GPS can kick in and tell you how to go from here to there and turn left and all of that. He didn't want to leave until he was sure that I was okay. Didn't know me from Adam. Now, if anybody tell me that this is a rare experience and you've never seen that, never experienced that, you're telling me a story. That happens all the time. I've had people who recognize I wear this hat sometimes when I go out for dinner, which I went out yesterday to dinner as a pre-celebration. I knew it was getting ready to happen. I knew Trump was going to win this election. I had written about that. I told John, this is going to be a tsunami. Trump's going to win the landslide. And I went out as a pre-celebration yesterday, but when I go out somewhere, I wear this hat. People see the program and they'll see me wearing that hat and they know it's me. If I don't wear the hat, then I'm just another guy. But they saw the hat and then they connected to me. So one guy came by my table. I was at this restaurant. Where it was in Clio, a place called Lucky's. And I go there for their bread. I love bread. And if you give me a steak at the price I couldn't buy it at the store, then we're on the same page. But one guy came to my table. I didn't know why he came over, but he came over and I asked him, he was going to the bathroom was what it was, but passed by my table. I asked him, I suppose, how you doing, sir? And I just thought he was coming by to just stop by on the way to the restroom. But I think what had happened is somebody at his table had recognized me from the program or something. And when I got ready to pay the bill, the waitress told me that the bill had already been paid. Now, that has happened on a couple of occasions. Somebody at that table had identified me and felt I'm kind of emotional. Mm-mm. That happens all the time. That happens all the time. People just want to be nice. Excuse me. People just want to be nice to you. And that's the American way. That's what people want. What's that thing I wrote in my post today? That thing that we used to put on Superman. Truth, justice, and the American way. John, can you bring me some tissue, please? And that's what people want. They don't want all this friction. These politicians are creating that friction. They don't want to unify the American people. If they say that, they're lying. They revel in friction because they have this group against that group, this party against that party, and that push your nose against each other, and then you fight among yourselves, and they sit there to get the benefits of it.
We have a comment here that says, "You're the man, Mr. Moss."
Yeah, but I'm describing I'm not describing my own situation. I'm describing your situation. I'm describing your situation too. You haven't had any friction. You're living, what you're trying to do in your household is what I'm trying to do in my household. I want to take care of my family. And I'm going to do that. And you want to do the same thing. We all want the same thing. We're not trying to be out here on That's not the American people.
Like that's what what I never understood is why we allow ourselves to be pulled into wars. We get these leaders, they tell us these people are our enemy. We go, we pack ourselves up, we pack our stuff up, we go over attack them. We're sitting there, then after years we've been there, we're wondering why the hell are we here? We keep on doing that.
Yeah. And we got to stop them. We got to stop letting them do that to us, because you see, there are a lot of things that we need to talk about to create clarity, because everything they're telling us, really, quite frankly, almost everything they're telling us through the media, they're lying to us. And they're lying to us to our disadvantage. You know, it's amazing. I noticed this morning when I was typing my article, I did my article on the election yesterday, of the greatest, of the man is going to go down in the history of this country, as the second greatest president this country's had. He'll go down in history, the second greatest country, the second greatest president this country's had.
We do have another comment here. Sorry, keep on. This is pretty active today.
Okay.
Big Unc, I appreciate the wisdom you share. You stand in my father's stead. The man wasn't. By the way, he's been saying he was an orphan. So this individual, yeah. So he was an orphan. Yeah.
Well, you know, we all are going to be orphaned at some point. It's just a matter of what age that you are going to experience that. My mom died at the age of 58. My mom died April 12th, 1980, and my dad died at 83. My dad died in 1997. He was born in 1913, died in 1987. 1997. And we're all going to be orphaned at some point. Be thankful that those that birth you into the world did not, in fact, orphan you before you got here. You know, that's another thing that we're going to reconcile ourselves with what these politicians are really doing to us. I got to tell you a little secret here. This is a little secret. You have an Orwellian situation going on right now, where these people talking about they are for reproductive rights. Let me tell you something. Aborting a child is anti-reproductive rights. Reproductive right is reproducing. And when you abort it, you're not producing anything. You're killing the destruction of the child. You're destroying the child. You're not producing the child by killing the child. This is Orwellian language. If you're for reproductive rights, then you want to bring the birth into existence. And none of you are, I said this in my post today, I have not been one person that was for abortion retroactively in the hands of their own mother. Not one person goes for it. You don't want to call it what it is. You don't look in the mirror and face that man in the mirror or that woman in the mirror, because you're not talking about abortion rights. You're talking about murder, the murder of your own children. And there's nobody for it when you put that in terms of the claims made on their own lives, and you're very selfish to impose it upon somebody else's life. In fact, I understand. Look, I understand the need for politicians to join into a conversation for political reasons. For example, turning it back to the states and all of that, and which is what Donald Trump. I understand that. We don't vote for people to become pope. I'm not running for that, because I'm gonna tell you right up to your face, you're not going to elect me for anything. I know that, because I'm gonna tell you this. You're not talking about choice. You're talking about the consequences of the choice you've already made. Choice is the choice to use or don't use that which prevents the pregnancy, so the abortion becomes unnecessary. But if you're irresponsible enough in knowing you don't want to produce a child, but you then are so irresponsible not to, in fact, take precautions not to do that, well, you can still enjoy the act, but you're too selfish to do that. Then when you create something that you knew that you didn't want in the first place, you want to then talk about the right to choice. You had a choice. You abused the choice that you had. And now you're talking about something else. This is not choice. This is the consequences of the choice you've already made at that point. The choice is made when you lay down there. What happens in the after that is a consequence of the choice that you made. And they want to do this Orwellian stuff where they want to confuse persons about what they're talking about. And people get confused very easily in this country. That's one other thing I've noticed. It's very easy to confuse people in this country. You can tell them almost anything if you scare them bad enough. And they did that in terms of 2020 when they told you that they're going to have a virus escaping out of a lab in a laboratory in the Wuhan province in China. And that virus escaped out of that lab. What was it doing? Wearing a convict coat and escaped out of the lab like you escaped out of Alcatraz? Is that what happened? A virus is escaping. What was it, locked down somewhere? It just escaped out of the lab. And then did what when they escaped out of the lab? It affected all the air all over the planet and infected the air everywhere. Everywhere you go, the air has been affected. Yeah, you can tell that to somebody. You can't tell that to me because that's ridiculous. There are 4.5 quadrillion tons, 4.5 to 5.5 quadrillion tons of air in Earth's atmosphere. You tell me how a virus escaping out of 1,000 labs are going to affect that much air. Because you got 8 billion people right now breathing on the air, and it's impossible for you to then breathe in the same air on the planet that they're breathing in China. You know why? Because before it gets here, the trees have gotten it and have chewed on it. Because the trees are there to recycle the air. They take in your exhaust and put out the air that you breathe. And you're breathing in and they're breathing in, and they're exhuming and you exhuming. And you're exhuming and breathing in the opposite of each other's content. The rhythm of the universe that you're living in, and don't even know that God has already willed that to be an impossibility. It's impossible. That cannot be done. You cannot poison all the air on the planet. You can get a quadrillion number of people on the planet. I'm not saying do that, but your planet is never going to be at a point where you're going to be able to exhaust the resources that nature's put there before you even born. You're talking about going to save the planet. You can forget that. You can't save anything. You didn't bring anything in the world, and you ain't taking nothing out of it either. And you can't save the planet. The planet is what is going to save you. But you can't save the planet. The planet not going anywhere. You're going to be the one that leaves. Have you noticed that? You see, here's another thing. We just talking about, these are just general points here. Let me tell you something. Have you noticed that the earth never gets old? Have you noticed that? It doesn't recognize age. The earth does not get old. They can say, well, the earth has been here ever since this time period, that time period. I'll tell you this. What's the birth date? The only age the only time you can do that, you can do what they just did here, the daylight saving time, where you fall back, you move forward and you fall back. So in the fall, we fall back. We lost an hour, I think it was last week. But you know what the time that nature recognizes? Only one time, now. Nature is always about the time now. That's the only time it recognizes. And that's why no matter how old you get, go look and see how much age you see in those trees that's in your backyard. The one that's already grown up to adulthood. Go look at the age there, and does it fall? Does that, it may be blown over, it may fall, and all of that. But the point is that the tree doesn't begin to start coughing. It doesn't start need medicine. All the aches and pains you and I have. No, we got to understand that we're living in harmony with with each other. We're already doing that. We already living in harmony. We are not at war with each other. And this idea, blacks have this problem. They think like Obama and these bums. They thought they were gonna come in here and save Kamala Harris's election. They're gonna come in here and tell men this is embarrassing. Gonna tell black men, gonna turn black men and black women against each other by telling the men that they were letting their women down by not voting for Kamala Harris. And so he was saying that this is a certain amount of misogyny and all that. He ain't talking to none of us. It's just about misogyny and all the rest of it. And then say this, I got a problem with it. I got a problem with that. So what am I supposed to do? I got enough problems on my own. So take your problem and add your problem to my problem. That's your problem. You got a problem with that. I'm like Mike Tyson. When he was talking about he's getting ready to vote for Donald Trump, I voted for Donald Trump. And my neighbors voted for my neighbor next door to me. I thought he'd have that sign down today, but he put that sign up. He got a large yard. He had it on that side of his yard, but he put it over there on my end of the yard, so I could make sure I saw it. I wasn't voting for Harris and Walsh. I think Donald Trump is right. Something's wrong with that guy. You come out there and all that, and you doing all this, and you can't stop moving. Something's wrong with this guy. Something wrong with the state he's in too. Let's say it put out too many people. Got Ellison over there. It's got Ilhan Omar in that state, and they got Walsh over there. Tim Walsh. He's a nut too. Something wrong with that state. We're not all normal in this country now. Don't ever think about that. We're not all normal now. So all the persons that you coming in contact with, they're not all normal people. But in terms of where we are with each other, we don't have a problem with each other. That's made up. They're making this stuff up. Keep us fighting with each other. They want us fighting with each other. The blacks do not understand that here's the thing about blacks in America. And this is what Obama was trying to do. Like we need there's 5 myths about black leadership that Bunny Allen wrote about. Myth number 1 is that blacks need to be led. It's like what Freeman Morgan was saying when they were saying they were talking to him about black leaders. He was asking these guys interviewing him, well, who are your leaders? If you tell people they have leaders other than blacks, they get offended by that because that's a child. You got to lead your children. But if they get a certain age, they should be able to lead themselves. If you've done a good job. My mother did a good job. I honor my mother every day. My mom died April 12th, 1980. But I honor her by recognizing what she taught. And I honor her. And I do it because I know people can't meet her in her state now because my mom's not here anymore. So I make sure that I represent my mom wherever I go. They can see her through what she produced. And that's why I'm not going to let very many persons come in my space and then out nice me. I'm always representing. My mom was a giant. And we were raised in a time period in which they raised giants. Donald Trump was raised by a giant. He's a giant himself. He's a this man is unbelievable. And I'm going to be his best helper from a distance. Now, I'm going to tell you this too. While we're on this, we all because I came here to talk about something totally different. Let me just say this: you could do what you did with Donald Trump's meeting at the Madison Square Garden. That was an unbelievable event. The most important of it, which was that whole family came down there, and they were all. Melania was there, Eric was there, Donald Trump Jr. was there. The one by Ivanka, the other one by his other wife was there. They were all there, and they're gonna try to act like they were having a Klan rally, and they're gonna talk about how this goes back to the 1939 when they had another meeting at Square Garden, and that was a Klan rally. What they got to do with the price of tea in China? This is 1939. What year is this now? Again, tell me. Can you tell me that again? What year this is? This is total nonsense, total divisional nonsense. This is a family affair. And they came out because they knew this was the defining hour in this campaign. That man went to New York where they were persecuting him and pulled 19,000 plus in an arena in a city that's hostile to him. And that's when I knew this election was over. I was telling John, I told John the day before, the technician here, that this race is already over. I saw the chemistry there. I saw the love fest that was there. This man is not a monster, a Hitler, all that stuff. This man loves America. Who else has been in that job? Was Obama in that job and win his salary for 4 years? He was in there 8 years, so did he forego a salary a single year? Donald Trump did the job and didn't even get paid for it. But the man is for himself. He was for himself. He stayed on that 38th floor of Trump Tower. No, we are in a love fest in this country, and we got an opportunity right now. Today is the day after the election occurred, and we are much freer today than we were yesterday this time period. Share the love, folks, because we are in for 4 more years of the second greatest president this country has produced, and I'm glad to share that with you. Until next week, let's follow our dream. If you don't follow your dream, you'll never know what's on the other side of the rainbow.